droning, almost chant-like sounds
Yeah.
emanating down the corridor and through the door. So somewhere beyond the section that you have been exploring so far, something is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I believe that's where we left off last time. So let's just jump
Something is
right.
happening.
I think we can take 20 minutes maybe to heal Soma back.
I think we like barricaded ourselves in there and we're healing
Yeah.
at the end of last session. That's when I heard the noises.
That's what I remember too.
I think
Soma tried to heal herself with a healing kit, but instead she opened her to veins.
well, in that case, Ottardo will offer
Yes, please.
his, yeah, he will offer his magical healing.
There you go.
Ooh, and there's an animation now.
Hmm.
And I guess we do that again, 10 more minutes.
We're right back.
But you said you're gonna wait for another 10.
So a total of 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sir Ottardo. Never try to heal yourself when your hands are shaking.
Well, shall we continue in the same direction?
Yeah. Well, use another music instrument. Try to encourage mainly in.
All right. So you continue down the hallway, open the doors, enter that sort of elevator-like structure, and then you come across the remains of the fungi that you had been fighting. I can tell you. I'm not sure how much we had talked about this room. So it's very damp in here. There's a large mound of dark gray soil that's heaped in the southern half of this room, and that's kind of like the 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 soil that the fungi were growing in that sustained them. And then there's this door right in front of you. And now that you're being so close to it, there's no way around it. You hear like the droning chanting coming from probably right behind this door.
Ottardo will move maybe just like the very top of that soil. He'll just like root around in it with his warhammer, see if anything is there. And I'll give you a perception.
Sure. And you see plenty of little, like, I think they're called filaments or something, the little, tiny little
Mm.
strands of fungi that are essentially all spread out across the entire soil. So it's probably entirely infested with some smaller version of what you had been fighting.
Okay. Well, he'll wait for his companions to reach him.
Yes, mycelia. That's what I was looking for.
Where am I? Sorry. Catch up. Come on.
What are those? Can we actually tell what if the droning noise is something intelligible?
Well, you do perceive words, but looking at your party sheet, you don't understand them.
Can I attempt to at least identify the language.
Are you trained in linguistics or something like that?
I mean, I don't think there's a linguistic skill to be
There's
trained.
something related.
There's, I
think
mean, there's
society, maybe?
society.
Sorry, that was two people at the same time. What's that? There's society, but there's no what governs languages.
I think it's rolled. I'd have to double check, but I think it's rolled into society. Like for what's the word? Forging documents and things like that. It's been into society.
Yeah. You're right. All right. Yeah, and I see that even like archetypes like the linguist give you trained in society and stuff. So yeah, definitely. Okay, give me a society roll. You have heard this before. It's what the ghouls were speaking with one another. So maybe Aklo? Maybe Undercommon? You're not entirely sure.
Seems to be one of the subterranean languages, but I dare suspect we may be facing more ghouls ahead.
Well, if we are all ready,
Okay. Yes. I will take a flute and prepare to make some music.
I'm going to back up.
And
Alright.
deeply inhales.
All right, you open the door and you behold a horrific sight. Whatever this room may have once been used for, now it has been apparently turned into some kind of shrine, but it is deeply, deeply unsettling what you behold. There is a rotting heap of fleshy material. That's basically all you can tell because it's just equal parts eyes, mouth, skin, just bits and pieces of flesh and organs lying in a stinking mound in the middle of the room. And there's about 24 tiny humanoid effigies that have been crafted out of small bones and tangles of knotted hair, and they've been kind of arranged in a circle around this just pile of flesh. And in this room, you've disturbed two of those ghoulish, cultist-like figures that have apparently been the cause for this droning, chanting sound. And they continue for a few moments as you open the door. They're like rocking back and forth, their hoods drawn low so that at first you can't make out their faces. But somehow they sense the disturbance in the room, and both of them kind of at the same time turn towards you, and you see their horrible visages, and then their faces that have just up until now have just been this sort of blank expression of being lost in the chant turn into like angered grimaces. And one of them points at you and yells something out at you, again in the language you don't understand, but clearly greatly upset about this disruption. I think we're just gonna go ahead and start combat. So I'll add you all to combat, and then you can roll for initiative. Let me double check if there's anything that this room imposes. Okay.
Wow.
And that's a success.
Okay. So I would like everyone to make this fortitude save right away. Well, I would like you all to roll it, not necessarily want you to make it. Nice.
Is it a smelly fortitude save?
It is a very smelly fortitude save. Does that make a difference for you?
I don't think so. I don't think any of my basic undead.
You're good because only living creatures need to make that roll, so you're okay.
Never mind, I'm fine.
But indeed, it is both the sight of this, and maybe Lucca is just not as upset about seeing flesh and eyeballs and mouths. But Birke made it. Soma and Ottardo, you are horrified by this, and it just disturbs you so much that it literally sickens you. And it grosses you out immensely. Both the sight and smell of this, it's just horrible. All right, here we go. So, maybe it's the shock of what this room looks like, but you all kind of take a moment to be fully present, and the ghouls take advantage of that, and they're going to act first. So let me see who's going to start. Here he is. Right. So we see. They're usually more reactive to things, so let me think. Okay, I think what they're going to do first is all right. So the one up here is going to, again, like, also super upset about you disturbing their worship here. Yells at Ottardo, "Be gone!" in a rasping voice, and actually using common to speak. So they clearly can speak common, which I think you have realized so to this point. So this is for you. This will save Ottardo.
Okay. Oof.
And you fail, which means that you are now fleeing. And that was 2 actions, and a third action is gonna be just upset ranting, I think. Yeah.
But can't I?
Yes.
Is it too late for me to do a reaction to this?
You get your reactions at the top of your turn, so you don't have your reactions yet.
Okay.
All right, the other cultist. Well, who does he see? He sees. I think he can see Ottardo, but he can probably see that Ottardo's face, the facial expression has changed a lot. He can also see Soma, so he's also going to cast command and tell Soma to do not disturb our worship. Roll for the will save, Soma. Ooh, a crit fail. It must use all its actions on its next turn to obey your command.
Okay.
Oh, I see. So it's, Ottardo only has to do it with his first action, but Soma has to do it with all of her actions.
Does
So-
it translate into fleeing?
That's Ottardo's turn.
So I guess first action he will leave, as he's been instructed, right?
You're forced to run away. On your turn, you must spend each of your actions trying to escape the source, but because you only failed, so you only have to do that for the first action.
Okay, so it's going to be. Oh, we are still posed.
Oh, sorry.
So he will be able to move up to here.
Mm-hmm. Then you can remove the
25.
fleeing condition at this point.
And well, he is going to go back in.
Realizing.
Okay. So that's 2 actions, leaving him with 1 action, which he will spend to defiantly raise his shield.
All right, so you not only disobey their command, but you also defy them by raising your shield. Okay, Birke. Ale?
Really good, he said.
Oh, that was Anthony.
Hello?
Hello? Not me.
No, not you. We're waiting for Ale. Well, we'll just move Birke down in the initiative by 1. Okay.
Ali said he had to step away.
Okay,
Oh.
then it's Lucca's turn. Oh, GM roll for me. I see. Okay. Well, we'll deal with that in a second. Lucca, your turn.
Right. So Ottardo had to move away, right?
He
he
ran
back?
away and then he came back.
Okay. And I'm not sure I completely understood this. So there's a pile of gore in the middle of the room. Did you say something is happening to it? Like it has...
It is surrounded by these tiny humanoid effigies that they've apparently set up around it. It doesn't really. I mean, you're welcome to try a religion roll. I mean,
Yeah,
They
I
did
think
say
he's
something about
trying to
worship.
understand what's... Because have they actually like hurt us yet, or are they just messing with people?
no, definitely. They've noticed you. Like I said, they had noticed the disturbance. They've turned towards you. They're
No,
upset.
yeah. But I mean, like, have they actually harmed us?
Yeah,
No,
they,
they've
they,
already
they're-
commanded you to leave.
Okay.
They
So
know
in that case, yeah, I think Lucca's first instinct is like, what in all the hells is this? And he's gonna make a knowledge.
All right.
Religion.
Nice, very nice. So you recognize that this what looks like a pile of gore just looks like just somebody dumped a bunch of dead fleshy stuff in here. You realize that that actually has been a creature before. You have heard about these creatures, never encountered them probably, but somehow heard about the so-called gibbering mouthers. They are just mounds of shambling flesh with dozens of toothy maws and eyes, way too many eyes, and they're just this amorphous blob of flesh and teeth and eyeballs. And this one apparently is dead and has been slowly decaying for quite some time, but it looks like just taking in the whole scene, you realize that these ghouls must be worshipping this, this just like almost tumorous amount of amalgamation of flesh. Yeah, so they must truly worship and hold these remains in the highest regards.
Okay. I mean, I guess we've kind of dwaddled around, some of the ghouls have left us alone. In fact, a lot of them have left us alone initially, until we've sort of engaged with them in some way. And he suspects that's going to be the case here too. But like, they've all been pretty evil. Everything they've been doing, tattooing dead flesh and eating people. I think Lucca doesn't have a very strong sense of like morality, but he knows at this point it's probably just a matter of time until these things turn on us and try to kill us. So he's gonna beat them to it. We must destroy them before they have the chance to hurt us. It is preemptive defense. And he's going to cast some magic. They don't like the if they worship the meat pile. He's going to cast Flaming Sphere on the meat pile.
Oh, barbecue. All right. You manifest the flaming sphere into existence right on top of the mound of flesh. And I mean, I'm not gonna let it roll a reflex save here. It's gonna get singed and burned by it to some extent. And the ghouls, as soon as that sphere appears and starts burning the flesh, they both like eyes wide, open mouth. They just stare at it. They're shocked. They try to like push the sphere away, taking some amount of damage from it. Why don't you roll 3d6 and I'll give each one of them half of that. There we go.
Nice.
So we'll have some damage here, some damage here, as they both like kind of like try to push that spongy flaming sphere away from the pile of flesh. But they are so shocked that they are very distracted in the sense that they are essentially slowed for now. So they lose actions on their turns. Great. Great thinking. Hearing point.
Yes.
See? I don't have an icon to represent the sphere, do I? I don't. That's not like an
Yeah, I don't think
effect
we
that
have that
we
yet. I've been meaning to find one for that, but
That's okay. I have a third action. I guess since he he sees these guys they just set their shit on fire, he's gonna try to intimidate one of them. I guess the one to the north. He can kind of make it out standing there, and so he once again just through the flames and the smoke, you just see his mask in the background as he stares out. And he's gonna try to spook this guy. Sorry, where is it? 29.
29. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it takes you a moment to like manage to get eye contact being all the way out there in the back, but you do at some point manage to do that, and your expressionless mask is met with just a face of terror as the cultist becomes is it frightened 1, is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not a critical success, it's just regular, so. All right. Awesome turn. Birke. Ale, are you back? Doesn't look like it. Okay, then I'll just move Birke into the room. I think that is what she would do. And taking in the scene, like trying not to look at the pile in the middle under the flaming sphere too much. She's just gonna turn towards the first target she sees, which would be the one that's already frightened. Because what's going on with my mouse here? Here we are. What is going on?
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Oh, okay. Well, then you can take your turn yourself. I had just started moving Birke into the room, and I assumed that she would try to attack this guy because that's the one she could see from where she was before.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. First, I'm gonna hunt my prey.
All right. Yeah, that's a religion check for you.
Gotcha.
All right. Wow, very nice. I mean, you know ghouls. They're kind of well-known undead creatures at the level of like zombies and skeletons. You know that they transmit a disease called ghoul fever, which can be quite draining, and you know that their bite and their claws can transmit a paralysis effect that it can be a quick end for you that only elves are immune against. But you also notice that these ghouls are certainly not just regular ghouls. The fact that they could cast magic spells is sets them apart. Yeah, there's nothing really else that I could tell you that would help you, except, I mean, they're immune to death effects, to disease, to being paralyzed, to poison, to unconsciousness, so no sleep spells on them, but that's pretty much it.
And I try to kind of like stab it with the gisarm to kind of keep it at arm's length so it doesn't bite me.
I mean, you could basically. I moved you in, but I realized I wouldn't have had to do that because you can just attack from right here.
Yeah, in that case, if I know that their bite will paralyze me, I'm going to try and keep my distance and communicate that, like, keep them away, don't let them bite you.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. So you can attack from where you are right now.
All right. And do I set target into prey? And do I get any kind of bonus? No, right? It's
Only
prey
what
now.
your class features give you. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't a crit
Right.
success. That's a hit. So roll for damage. Nice, good amount of damage. You injure the cultist. So that was your second action. What's the third?
Can I try and trip it with the Gisarm?
Yes.
Like
So
kind
you
of like
can.
swinging at the legs?
Yes, absolutely. It has the trip feature, so you can use your athletic skill. So roll athletics, but with a -5 because the trip attempt does have the attack trait.
Mm-hmm.
And the +1 because it takes the
Correct.
magical bonus.
Correct. Yep. And that's against its athletic AC. Is that right?
It's against either fortitude or reflex, and I never remember which one.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
I think trip might be reflex.
Athletics against the reflex DC. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 14, and its reflex AC is higher than that, but it's not a crit failure, so you just fail to like really
Knock it off its feet.
you should really knock it off its balance. All right, that was your turn, Soma. You gotta run.
Do I? I mean, he issued me command to not to interfere, so probably I can
No.
just.
No. He told you to leave, and
He did? Okay.
you have the fleeing condition.
Okay, then it's 3 turns of leaving.
Yeah.
Soma, where are you going? We didn't listen to them.
Ah! That's. Oh shit! It's dark now. I don't see anything.
Well, which is good because in darkness you move at half speed. So.
Yeah, the door is closed. Like, what's happening? And that's it, I suppose.
You don't have a third action to open the door?
I don't even see the doors toggle to open in darkness, so the system doesn't let me.
Okay, so you just feel around for the door handle as your third action.
You
Okay,
should-
so you can remove the fleeing condition now.
Yes.
It's only
Someone
for this
bang-
round.
Bangs in the door, into the door in darkness.
Yes. And that stops her in her tracks. Okay, then we have the cultist's turn. So Ottardo defied them, raised his shield. Birke had the audacity to attack him. So even though he's shaken by Lucca's audacity to hurt the pile of flesh, and also by his intimidating glare, but what's he gonna do? He's gonna take a step over here, and then he's gonna cast a spell
Well,
in a 30-foot line.
of course.
So that gets Ottardo and Lucca, but Lucca, you're not living, which the ghoul couldn't know. So you don't need to worry about that, but Ottardo needs to do the fortitude save. It fails that fortitude save. How do we feel about a hero point here?
I think it's probably not yet.
All right,
time
then. So crit fail, double negative, double persistent. So first of all, you take 10 here, so take double of that. And then we'll put 1 bleed on you, and can I do another bleed? Or does it stack? It doesn't. How do we increase the bleed damage? Well, I'll leave that to you to figure out, Sam. I'm sure you can manage. All right. That was the Grim Tendrils, and the move was this third action. So then it's frightened condition goes down
he's
by 1.
slowed.
Oh, you're right. Oh shit, he's
What?
slowed. You're right. But doesn't really matter because he can pick that corner from where he was before, and then.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it doesn't change anything about the spell, but it changes its position. Good call. So, but now the slowed should be gone, and the frightened should also go down by 1, right, at the end of your turns. Okay. So that was that cultist. Now we have the other cultist. And what is this guy gonna do? He sees Ottardo in full armor, shield at the ready, and he thinks, well, that guy probably needs his strength. So let's sap it. And he casts a spell from where he's standing right now. Fortitude save, Ottardo.
Oh man.
Regular failure, so you are enfeebled 2. And that was its turn because it also was slowed. And no, it's not anymore. Ottardo, your turn.
Ottardo will raise his shield, which now seems even heavier than before. Then he will move into the room. Will he continue his movement? Yeah, I think he'll continue to here, and then he'll target the cultist in front of him and swing.
Ooh, and that's a good swing. Well, but only mediocre damage. Enfeebled condition really comes through here. That was 3 actions.
That was 3 actions, and he is going to take 2 bleed damage instead of just 1.
But at least he shakes it off, or he reduces it by 1? How does it work? No, you shake it off.
Yeah.
Lucca.
Lucca sees that was to good effect. It's a little too late, but I'm just highlighting it to try and remind myself for the future. The Flaming Sphere, because it's one of my granted bloodline spells, it should deal an extra point of damage, I think, to each of them. But try to remember that.
Oh, I can add that. That's fine.
But Lucca will step up, so he gets a much better view of the situation. He's going. Oh well, technically, first action he sustains the spell, and he's going to roll it, I guess, towards the one that Ottardo is fighting. Oh wait, can I choose? Well, he's immune to being intimidated again, isn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Or I could roll it towards the other one, I guess. Now let's focus down. He'll roll the Flaming Sphere up towards the ghoul that Ottardo is fighting, and force him to make a reflex saving throw against it.
All right. Is there a prompt for that?
Up where I cast the spell. Here.
Yes, I see it. Succeeds.
Okay, so he takes half of the 3d6, which I will roll. +1.
It is a basic save now, because it used to be just.
I think it's a basic save, isn't it?
This sphere deals 3d6 to each creature. Creature must attempt a basic reflex save. Creatures that succeed at their save take no damage instead of half.
Oh.
So
You're right.
Still,
okay.
You still double on a crit fail, but you don't take any on a success.
Got it. Okay, so he dodges this Flaming Sphere. It's now in his square. Hold on. Each creature must Subsequent rounds, the first time you can leave the sphere in a square. It deals to each creature in that square. Okay, so I can't like roll it around the map and hit multiples. I can only move it to one new square, basically. Well, that stinks. Okay, so sustained cast. I'm just going to use my final action to try to intimidate the other one.
All right.
So wait, so the cultist did not take damage?
No damage, yeah.
It's an exception here. It says it's a basic reflex, but also if you succeed, you take no damage.
Right. So 25 to intimidate the southern one.
Yeah, and he is indeed intimidated by you. So you get
And that's my turn.
right. That's your turn, Birke.
I will try to stab it again.
Oh, sorry, Birke. You tried stabbing. Just try stabbing. Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's a hit.
Nice.
And a good amount of damage, but it's not enough to give it the true death. Second action.
More. Come on.
Another hit.
Yes.
Nice.
And is that enough? It is. You essentially like stab it once and then rip up the gazarm to split it almost in two.
Chop it
Third
down to
action.
the ground. Third action, I'm going to move here.
Shut the door.
Sorry.
Oh,
Alright.
it even stops the aura when the door is closed.
Yeah, I saw that. It's really
If I
cool.
move here, it provokes, right?
Well, you would have to climb over the pile of
The
flesh.
flesh,
There's the
yeah.
flaming spears and the other.
Can I jump?
You could jump, yeah, sure. As part of your movement, I'll let you jump.
Can't he just run around it now? Because the
He could,
creature's dead?
Oh, but it's still in the same square. I think you would have to reflex save if you move through it.
No, the one that's dead. He could
The
move.
ghoul
through.
is dead.
Right, but the flaming sphere is still in that square, right?
Oh, right.
Well,
Yeah.
no, the flaming sphere only deals damage when I use my sustain a spell. It can't deal it any other time, from what
Okay,
I
so
understand.
you're free to move through it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't. Enemies can move through it. Allies, it doesn't say anything. It only seems to deal extra It only seems to deal damage when I use the sustain a spell
Okay,
action.
so it's literally just a hovering ball of flames, and it's easy enough to duck under it or squeeze past
I
it.
guess so. Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay, Birke. So you can move up into that corner with no check necessary. Then it's so.
I had already added the long jump thing. Can I just try it out?
Of course you can jump. There you go. All right, give us that static step and see if you land face first in that pile of.
No, I'm gonna take the easy way and walk around.
All right. Okay. Soma.
Duck under the sphere.
Yeah, let's not tempt fate.
Okay. Well, the grip of the spell lessens on me, so Soma will now take a deep breath and look forward, look backwards, see the faintest glimpse of light, and turn around and move that direction. So that's the, as you said, half my speed for 2 actions.
I'll let you use your full speed, but you'll have to do a reflex save to make sure you don't, bump into a doorway or something.
Let's try that then.
All right, let's roll a reflex save. You kind of you remember this hallway. You remember that it's basically just straight down, and yes, you do manage to avoid any open doors or doorways as you charge down the corridor at full speed.
Well, I will use only 2 actions to do that, and on my third action, I will initiate the Dark Courage.
All right. Everybody remember to draw that effect onto your characters, and then it is the last remaining cultist's turn, who is backed up into the corner, and is, well, Birke just moved in. Ottardo is there. What's his best move? I think he's no longer slowed, yeah. So he's going to raise the pendant that is hanging from his neck, which is essentially just a couple of hooks with like little bits of flesh hanging on them. But he raises it as if it's some sort of holy reliquary or holy symbol of some kind, and he utters a quick incantation and then channels harmful negative energy through that thing in a burst that emanates out, and catches Ottardo and Birke, theoretically Lucca, but you don't have to worry about that. So I will need fortitude saves from Ottardo and Birke.
Wouldn't Lucca be healed by that?
No, because you have to choose if you want to harm or heal.
If it's the burst, I think it does both at the same time.
You disperse negative energy in 30. If this targets all living and undead creatures in the area. If the target is a willing undead creature, you restore. You channel negative energy. If the target is a living,
I'm at full health anyway. It won't matter.
Okay.
But
Okay. But yeah, I guess you're right. Weird. Okay. Anyway, I thought that you had to choose for some reason.
It's only the single target versions where you have
Okay.
to choose.
Okay, so Ottardo fails. Birke makes her safe. So this is a basic save essentially for you, I believe. It doesn't really say, but I think everything else wouldn't make sense. So it's half damage for Birke and regular for Ottardo. Oh yeah, it does say it. It's a basic fortitude save. Okay, good. So that was its turn. 3 action harm. Ottardo.
Ottardo will.
Oops, sorry. Disregard.
Yep. Ottardo will raise his shield, step up to the creature, and swing at it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, that's a hit, and that is 10 points of damage. The creature is clearly injured, bleeding out of multiple wounds, and bruised badly. Its undead flesh turning purple in large swaths. And then it's Lucca's turn.
and Lucca will send the flaming sphere rolling down the other direction.
Roll, roll, roll. Could you give me that prompt again? Or is that that's probably a lot of work? I'll just roll the reflex save off the sheet and look. Sure.
I wish there was some way I could make it like repost.
Right.
It looks like a natural 20.
Yeah, it's a crit success. Okay, so unaffected.
Okay, and then he'll hit it with a little produce flame.
All right, let's see that.
Let me target it.
You toss a ball of flame in its direction, but a 16 is not enough to strike it. Birke.
All right, that's my turn.
I like to keep them at a distance. So I can't roll. Can I designate as a hunt prey? Do I have to do the thing again? So can I roll religion, or is it
Sure.
only for one kind of creature?
I think you won't really be able to do the recall knowledge again because it's the same creature, but you should still be able to make it your prey.
Okay, then that's what I will do. So that's one action.
And don't forget to get Soma's Inspire Courage effect whenever she casts it. You have to scroll up a little bit and pull it, or I can pull it on you. There you go.
Oh, thank you. And now we strike.
Okay, second action. This was a miss. Third action.
Once more with healing.
And there we go. That is a hit. And let's see the damage. Ooh,
Nice.
full damage. Badly injuring the cultist, almost cutting off one of its arms. It's just kind of like only loosely attached by the joint.
Yeah, let
Soma.
out like a successful yeah. Haha. Fuck it.
Soma, you hear rejoicing coming from the room.
Okay, so before before I join with rejoicings, I'd like to get rid of the second condition. So once again, like take a deep breath, try to settle her stomach, and make a fortitude save, I believe.
Yes, I can give you that prompt again. There you go. Failure.
Can I do it again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's just each time you do it, it's an action, but you're free to do
Yes.
it. Yep.
Okay, well, and continue support the inspire courage.
All right. I love that retching mechanic. I don't know why I love it so much, but I think that's such a great way to deal with the sickened condition. To give players a way to like just. Okay. Cultist's turn. Backed up in a corner, running quickly out of spells, blasphemers all around. He takes a step back. He angrily turns towards Birka, who I believe has caused the most damage to him, and casts a spell at her. Birka, roll that will save.
Yeah.
You fail. So you take 11 points of damage. And you'll see that. Okay, did it already do that? Nice, it did all of it.
For persistent damage.
And you get 2d4 persistent damage. And on top of that, you feel sickened by all of these illusory pains that are racking your insides, your brain. It's like your entire body is responding to this. So full initial and persistent target is sickened 1. If you recover from being sickened, the persistent damage ends. Just so you know. That's all right. So that was its 3 actions, and it's Ottardo.
Ottardo will step up to the creature, swing at it once.
Ooh, brutal.
Yes.
Pushing it closer and closer against the wall.
And I guess he'll attempt that again.
Nice.
And all right, yeah, here's another slam with your warhammer, and you feel like this should have knocked its lights out, but it's still clinging to existence. And I
that's
think that's
your
your turn. Yep, Lucca.
All right, we'll send the sphere rolling over at him again. Another DC 19.
Hold on a second. Okay. DC 19 reflex save. Here we are. And that's what it does, exactly on the nose.
Okay, so it passes again. And then he'll hit it with another produce flame and try to finish it off. Sorry, I don't know. I'm having a hard time targeting it. There we go.
You hurl another small ball of flame at it. This time your aim is true, and you burn it for 10 points. All right, so what happens is, as Ottardo is fighting it, you're like, Ottardo, you were like throwing your warhammer at it, you were you're trying to keep it at bay with your shield, moving in on it, kind of pushing it against the wall already. You have it like backed up against the wall, and it's trying to snap its jaws at you over your shield. And as you're like getting this close, you see how it's like bleeding out of its eyes and ears. There's this black ichor that is coming out of its nostrils. It's clearly about to find true death, and it just spits out some more of this black stuff and chooses in common, in a very raspy voice. It says, "You all be consumed by Lucca anyway." And then Lucca's ball of flame comes hurling in, burning its skull right in front of you, Ottardo, and it just falls down, burnt to a crisp, destroyed. 80 XP for everyone. Okay. Before we move
We're
out
at
of
780, right?
Yep. And before we move out of initiative, though, I'm just gonna realize that we should have stayed in initiative because we still have some effects to deal with. I think the first one would be Ottardo. But you don't really have anything to do. I don't think you can really help. Oh, you are sickened, so you're welcome to try to retch.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, I'm second too, right? I need to try that.
Well, we'll do you in a second. Hold on.
Was there a button to?
No, and you accidentally made yourself sickened 2. You're only sickened 1.
Okay.
You just roll a fortitude save.
Okay. Fortitude.
And that's not enough. So then Birke's turn is going to come up at some point. And yeah, Birke, you also want to try to get rid of the sickened condition?
I do, yes.
Okay, then let's see that fortitude save. And in your case, where's the... There it is. That's a fail. You do have more actions if you want to spend another action on it. Not like you have anything else to do.
Yeah, I'm just dry heaving it. Reminds me of that bad wine we found.
There it is. Okay, so you managed to get rid of the of the sickened condition, which also makes the persistent damage go away. And Ottardo, I mean, the sickened condition at some point is going to go away. Yeah. And so is the enfeebled condition after a minute or so. And then we can truly... And Soma, same for you at some point. I mean, you're going to stumble into the room just still feeling slightly woozy, but you're no longer mechanically sickened.
Yeah, Soma, like, while she is getting somewhat greener behind, in the corridor, she ruffles in her healing pouch and tries to smell some herbs to try to settle her her nose from the terrible place. And once she finally centers herself, she looks in and like, ugh, no. Well, once again. Alright, so. What the hell was that?
Well, it looks like a big pile of flesh.
Not just any pile of flesh, but the remains of a entity known as a gibbering mouther. You can tell by the number of mouths and eyes amongst the flesh.
Well, I've heard some gibbering for what I suppose it settles for the name correctly.
This is the second time that we have heard these worshipful ghouls referencing a so-called canker in this level, and the presence of this dead entity makes me wonder what precisely this canker could be.
Why don't
Something
you
along a
all...
similar vein.
I would like you all to give me a secret perception check.
Ottardo rolled that already.
I see.
Secret perception.
All right. So Birke, as Lucca explains the fact that this pile of flesh is actually just the remains of just a single creature, the gibbering mouther, as she calls it, and points out, like, see all these teeth and eyeballs? Your mind wanders. Of course, you have this fascination with any sorts of monsters, and Lucca describes it so vividly that you almost feel like you can hear a gibbering voice, just like mumbling unintelligible nonsense, but with the conviction of a doomsday prophet. And you're not sure if you actually hear it or if it's just in your mind.
Could this thing still be alive? And I start looking around nervously. I think this thing is trying to speak with me. Quick! And I start looking through my pack, looking for anything flammable.
Oh, how convenient that we just bought some goblins brew.
Yes, Souma, help me burn this. We need to burn this right away.
No need to waste consumables, and Lucca will happily provide some additional fire via produce flame and just.
I think the flaming sphere probably hasn't winked out yet.
Oh yeah, or the flaming spear. He just kind of blah blah rolls it around on top of the thing.
Yeah, so it just rolls all over there. It gets these looks almost like barbecue stripes as the flaming spear rolls over the pile repeatedly. The smell of burned flesh is in the air. It's really like cloying, and finally you've like thoroughly burnt what was left of this creature. Birke, you listen, you strain to listen. Give me another perception check. Anyone is welcome to roll it, because as you look at Birke, somewhat worried that she might still hear anything, and Birke, whatever it was, it seems to be gone. But
Oh,
Soma,
wow.
you think you know what Birke's talking about? There's just at the edge of your perception, there's like very muffled, but clearly an insane mumbling
Yeah.
voice.
The moment Soma hears it, she immediately takes her flute and blows it as hard as she can.
Counter performance. All right. So yeah, so you play a loud melody that's so loud that it's ringing in your ear to like drown out whatever whispers there still are, and you feel like you've successfully distracted yourself.
No, let's not linger here. The longer we stay here, the closer to madness we'll get.
What of these effigies?
Burn them as well.
Yeah, look, I didn't give you the whole picture here when you rolled the religion check earlier, because there was a little more that you noticed, which is that the effigies are all, I mean, they're not really well crafted or anything, but you do think that they're probably supposed to represent the ghouls that have formed this strange cult in the library here. And you can tell by the little ornaments that are dangling from their necks and the tiny little hooded cloaks that they've strapped on the little effigies.
Lucca he's gonna grab one of these little effigies, and he's also going to grab the what is apparently a holy symbol to these ghouls off of one of their necks.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really bothered by the gore as much, and he's not worried about negative energy or anything like that, so he's just gonna... They're kind of curiosities to him, so he's gonna grab them both.
You don't have skin, so it's not icky for you anymore.
Yes. That is true.
So you should be able to actually loot the cultists and pull
Oh.
out little holy symbols.
I hadn't even thought of that. Lump of decayed flesh strung.
Ooh.
Oh, well, now that I know it's an item I can loot, maybe he'll take them both.
And regarding the effigy, you're gonna have to put something in your inventory yourself if you can do that.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. Yeah, he takes these, and he'll also add one ghoul. I'll just say ghoul effigy if that is sufficient.
All right, what do we do?
Leave this godforsaken place.
I like that idea.
All right, I'm gonna be back in a minute because I actually have my smoker going and I have to check the temperatures. I'll be right back.
Photos.
Let's see. Icons. Maybe items. Equipment. Artifacts. No, these don't look like effigies. Treasure. Art objects. Less.
All right, I'm back. Everything was just fine, so it was just fast. All right, where do we go next? Decisions. Where do we go next?
There's a door.
There's a door. Every door needs someone brave enough to open it.
I got this.
All right, let's see.
Who shall be the hero?
You prove your valor by opening that door only to be welcomed by another door after a very short corridor.
They open yet another door.
You open another one and you find yourself back in that chamber, that circular chamber, where a couple of ghouls had been lingering, reading, enjoying little morsels of decaying flesh, and of course, the ribbon of sickly light that is manifesting in the center of this room is still here.
I carefully step to the side.
Lucca just walks right through like a refreshing wrinkler. Okay, yeah, so you're back in that first hallway that's lined with shelves. Some of the books you've already taken off of them. The bloody streaks can be found here as well. Still, Yeah. So where do we go next?
We could maybe take 20 minutes to patch up Birke and Ottardo.
I think I can use my treat wounds on Burke right now.
Sure. Well, if you do that, then Ottardo will just lay hands on himself and then start praying again to regain focus.
Thank you very much.
So how much do you spend here, you say? 10 minutes? 20?
10 minutes.
Okay.
During those 10 minutes, Lucca is going to see if he can't, because we couldn't get this door open before.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to see if he can't just burn it down with produce flame.
Ooh, okay. Damaging items. So, I mean, it does have hardness, and I would say that the fire is kind of instantaneous. So I think its hardness should apply. What's the average damage you do with a flame?
I think it's hang on. Average is 2d4 plus 7, I think. So oh, is that right? That sounds high.
2d4 plus 7 does sound high.
Well, it is heightened because of
Okay.
so it's up to 2d4 and then the plus 4 5. Sorry,
Okay.
I think it's 2d4 plus 5.
2d4 plus 5. So that's on average that would be 3. That would be 8 points of damage on average. Let's see. We have a wooden structure. Oh no, there it is. Simple door. It has hardness 5. So yeah, indeed. Some of the damage goes through, so it's gonna take many castings of it. But it being a cantrip, you have an infinite supply. So as the others are resting, refocusing, Ottardo, your concentration is slightly challenged by the constant mumbling of Lucca as he manifests more flames and throws them at the door. Until finally, let's say the door, the handle and the lock start to melt and bend and kind of break in that sense that they no longer truly manage to keep the door shut. And you basically unlock it, and at some point it is going to swing open since you've so thoroughly broken it down. And you behold a room where a couple of work tables, 3 of them, line the walls. There's a single stool near one of the tables, and there's a skeleton wearing a light blue librarian's robe, but it's just lying in a heap beside the stool.
Does it look like it's wearing, or did the ghouls we fought before wear
Very
clothes?
Very simple. Yeah, I mean they were also wearing these librarian-like robes, and this looks very similar. Yes, theirs
Okay.
are much grosser, but all right. So Ottardo, you move into the room, as you step into it, all of a sudden, oh, what happened here? There we go. All of a sudden, the quality of the air in the room changes, and it's like it slightly thickens for a moment, and but also the temperature drops at the same time, and a spectral shape manifests in front of you, right in front of you, and it's the ghostly apparition of a woman. Here you go. Let me see if I can pull up that image for you a little. There you go. And she has a stern look on her face as she like musters you, and sorry. And she says to you, move out of the way. I have plenty of work to do. Please get out of my way here.
Ottardo will step aside.
Okay, yeah, so you take a step back, and she unpaused, so you should be able to take a step back. And she hovers forward and like sits down on the stool, even though, of course, her being incorporeal, she kind of sinks into the wood a little bit. And you see her reach for jars on the table and reach right through them, but still pretend or pantomime as if she was holding onto it. And she reaches for a tool, again, reaching right through it, seemingly picking it up, but not really holding it in her hand. And then she like leans down. There's still parchment or remnants of books on the table, and she leans down and she's doing these like what seems to be really focused and highly concentrated work, but she's not actually doing anything. She's just going through these motions as if she's like binding a book or repairing it or something like that. But she can't hold on to any of the tools or implements. And you watch her do that. And she seems perfectly happy just doing this for now.
Yeah. Lucca's like, stand back! I know how to deal with these spirits! And he's...
Wait. Can I do a recall knowledge?
Sure. Yeah. Give me a religion check. Or occultism, if that's better. And library lore. Give me a library lore.
All right. That sounds cool.
Ooh, I'm gonna reveal that just because.
Nice.
Okay. You crit succeed on this. So I'm gonna tell you quite a few things, and of course, most of this is conjecture for you. But
Making an educated guess.
An educated guess, and just you. I mean, you do recognize what she's doing just based on the movements, based on the tools, the stuff that's on the workbench, and you do realize that she must have been a librarian, and probably one of the librarians, or maybe the person responsible for repairing the books, binding books, preparing parchment, and things like that. So this is probably, or this used to be, her workshop. And what you see on the table, all the little jars and stuff make you realize something. I'm seeing the skeleton on the floor in front of it, and realizing that the door was locked from the inside, you realize something. But one of the major chemicals used in bookbinding is arsenic. And you realize, like, maybe this poor soul has committed suicide in here and now is condemned to forever go through the motions of, doing her job, even though she's actually not able to do it anymore. And it makes you quite sad.
Feel a pang of sympathy for her. And I try to approach her as if she were still alive. Like, hey, beautiful library you have here.
So you approach her, you try to talk to her, and without looking up from her work, she says, "Psst. This is very delicate work. Please don't interrupt." She continues.
You must be very proud of all the books, beautifully bound.
Said And she's like, her voice changes slightly, like gets a little echoey, sounds a little less human as she says, I said, be quiet.
I respectfully stand back and observe.
You take a step back and you watch her continue to go through these motions, pantomiming the act of preparing books.
Sir Ottardo, do you still have those books that we pilfered? Let's give them to her and see what happens.
Do I still have what?
Well, those books we pilfered from the shelves.
Oh, I believe so.
Or Souma, maybe you can help her bind that book, and maybe by binding that book, we can let her free.
I mean,
Offer to help.
I could try, but I'm afraid if I touch something without her permission, she will try to steal my soul. I mean,
Yes, yes. As an incorporeal undead, she is most prone to soul stealing. It is in their very nature. We should banish her immediately.
Hey, okay, let's see. If we acted on that kind of thinking, we would have attacked you the first time we saw you.
Well, I'm not incorporeal. That makes no sense.
Yeah, well, okay, we're gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, at least for once. And if it doesn't work out, then you can do all the banishing you want.
I think we've sold all the books we had picked up.
And offer to finish binding the books.
Yes, I don't think I have any books. I have notes. I have ciphered book titles, and I have notes on necromancy and construct making.
Wait, well, I mean, it's not like we took all books, so there's probably plenty of books around here.
That is true.
Yep, that's true. There's plenty of books around.
Oh, and the ones we took were in like good condition anyway, because they had some value. So if she's to repair something, then maybe we need to give her a not valuable book. Of which I have none, by the way, says Lucca, shifting his bag out of sight.
Alright. On the other hand, if we give her even more work, she might go crazy from stress. The dealing with ghosts is very complicated affair. Okay. Soma will try to poke her head into the room, and with a breath, she will ask, "Do you need some help?"
I said, she says as she's like hunched over her table, you should leave me to my... And then she turns around and she like exhales a noxious fume. So it's a 15-foot cone, which should... I mean, Soma, you were...
Well, I was right there, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I can't seem to be able to rotate it, but I think she's able to get all of you in there if she picks the right corner. So I will need fortitude saves from everyone. It's a poison effect, Lucca, if that makes a difference for you.
Don't think it does. I have the basic undead benefits, but I don't think that has anything to do with poison damage. Oh dear.
Look at that.
Oh, I do get a +1 from basic undead benefits, but it's not gonna help much.
No. Still a crit failure.
Yeah, it's in there. It's automatically factored.
So I think... Yeah, Birke. Oh no, Birke's up. Nope, Birke's still missing. Birke, I need a fortitude save. Ala, are you here? Okay, I'll just roll Birke's fortitude here. Weak. can I use the prompt if I have Birke highlighted? I can. Okay. What's going on here? One sec. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
You just
All
said
right.
roll.
So, I did roll, and I did roll well for Birke's. So we have failure, failure, crit failure. All right. So, those who failed take this damage. Those who crit failed take double this damage, and Birke's gonna take half. And the one who crit failed, which is Lucca, also is enfeebled by this. Alright, so yeah, so again, so she turns around as Soma once again like disturbs her work, and she yells at you, and as she yells, there's this greenish or green purple toxic mist that just emanates from her and engulfs all of you, and as you inhale it, you get the, is it like almonds or something, this like slight taste of arsenic on your tongue, and it does quite a number on you. She's not immediately gonna go into combat, like she just yelled at you. Should we roll initiative? What's the situation here? Let's just roll initiative. I mean, there's not really much we can do about it.
Soma personally is not terribly inclined to immediately go into the combat, but if everyone else does, then well, she will provide the music.
Let's see. So, Ali, are you back? No. In that case, Birke is gonna hesitate for a second here. And yeah, I think she's gonna hesitate, wondering if maybe the ghost is going to be happy just having yelled at you. And indeed, her turn comes up, and she just looks at you like, you know, frustrated and annoyed, but you can also see in her ghostly visage, you can also see these like twitches of madness that only someone who has lingered for centuries trying to complete an incompletable task. And yeah, she's just waiting for you to probably be left alone or something.
Right, yeah, I heard all that. Sorry about that. I could hear but not speak. But yeah, that's definitely what I would have done.
Okay, good. And but then it's your turn if you want to react to that. So yeah.
I want to try and communicate somehow.
So what do you want to do? I mean, you've seen that every attempt at communication has been met with just leave me alone so far. So what do you want to try differently?
I want to try and fix the book. The one she's
Okay.
working on that she can't pick up.
Okay. So you reach for the book? Is that what you do?
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of like very carefully trying to politely like, oh, I just want to, you know, if you would just let me, and you reach, you try. What's that?
I'm just gonna squeeze in here.
Yeah. I'm just gonna try to squeeze past the incorporeal creature, realizing how, you know, silly it is to try to squeeze past something. But yeah, anyway, so you try to grab the book, and as you do so, the ghost all of a sudden like erupts in a rage as he like, my tools, and she elongates weirdly, kind of like bends out of shape, and then in an arc, in like this sort of greenish ectoplasmic arc, she bends over. She's now almost irrecognizable, almost just an like spectral band or ribbon, and she bends towards your mouth and ears as she's gonna try to possess you. So, I don't have a prompt for it, but I need you to make a fortitude save.
Okay.
Nope, sorry, that's a will save actually.
That makes more sense.
That is a 20, which is not enough.
Oh wow.
So she really moves into your body and okay, let me see. So you have failed. If you present the current take partial kind of this is a regular fail. Yeah, and you feel her in your mind. So you're still here. You're still kind of in control of your body, but it's like you're fighting her for every move you make. So as you reach out for the tools, you feel like your own body, your own muscles are pushing back, as if there's somebody, for lack of a better metaphor, somebody trying to grab the wheel and trying to take over from you. Yeah, exciting stuff. And she's the incorporeal. Sorry, I should be in here. The incorporeal creature itself has vanished at this point. Let me move the initiative in the right order. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, Birke, you reached for it. Okay, so it is your turn though. I'm gonna say you can still take an action. So you failed. At the start of each of the target's turns, let's say this is the start of your turn, even though you already spent an action on trying to get to the tools. Okay, so you can do another will save now.
Okay.
Which you fail, which means you are now controlled for this turn. So she is going to be in charge of your body and is making the decisions for you. The controller dictates how you act and can make use of any of your actions, including attacks or even delay. So she is going to maybe you already made it to the tools, you already were able to grab one of the instruments, and you against your will, you watch your hand let go of it, and you feel like you're stumbling backwards a step or two as she forces you to walk away. And that's your turn. And then Lucca, you've seen the whole thing. You kind of saw this coming. You tried to warn them, but why won't anybody listen?
This is what I keep saying. Spirits are rude, incredibly rude. And he's like, I'm sorry, Birke, you've brought this upon yourself. He's gonna go over here, and he's just gonna keep going. And he's gonna go and stand in the negative energy well.
Was that your turn?
And he's got another action. He's going to angrily shake his fist from the negative energy well and yell out, "You leave my friend alone, foul phantasm!" And he's going to try and frighten it.
You can barely see Birke's eyes twitch, like, ugh, look up.
All right, let's
I don't know what to target, but I'm gonna try to.
It is in Birke's body, so I think if you can target Birke, you can target the ghost.
Can I target an ally? There we go.
Well, just roll your intimidate. I'll figure it out. We can.
27.
Okay, so somehow you manage to, make contact with something behind Birke's eyes, and you feel like there may be a little bit of a frightened glint in Birke's gaze, which is currently not her own.
Right. And is there something I do for the enfeebled condition? Is there a duration on that, or
24 hours?
Oh, okay. And do I gain hit points? Is it at the end of the turn that you're in the negative energy well, or the start?
I think if you start your turn, ending its turn and it takes the negative damage or is healed. So you gain these.
Okay, nice. We'll take it.
All right, Ottardo.
So Ottardo is trained in crafting. Would that mean he would be proficient at using these tools?
Yeah. I mean, you would at least know what to do with them. You probably wouldn't be the best bookbinder around, but at least you know how to use these tools.
Okay. Well, this might be very bad, but he's gonna give it a try. He's going to pre-action drop both his shield and his hammer,
Ooh.
because I assume he needs both hands free to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is going to go and take his place on the stool and start working and like loudly say, okay, now I am pressing the leaves together and applying the glue to the like making it known that yes, I know what I'm doing. Look.
Oh,
Alright.
I see. Okay, so you talk out loud the individual steps as you do them. All right, we'll come back to that. Soma.
And in this case, Soma will stand in the doorway and prepare to stop Birke from rushing back in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm not sure if I can make some specific action to do that, but
I'll say you do a ready action to
Yes.
stop her from
but that's
moving
what I
in.
do.
Yeah, so you clearly like move into position, ready to block Birka from going through, and the ghost is smart enough to understand what's going on here, and lets go of Birka, so moves out of her body. You see her like pouring out of her mouth and ears and forming back into her spectral shape, and she just walks right through Birka and through Ottardo and moves into this square here. And she is going to yell at Ottardo like, "No, no, no! You're doing it all wrong!" And she just, her ghostly hand tries to touch your hand. So I'll let, she tries to strike you,
Aye.
critically hitting you for 18 points of negative energy damage. So that was action 2, and action 3 is
Yeah.
going.
Wasn't releasing as a free action?
I mean, let me see. I think you can. Oh, dismiss is an action. Is that right? Dismiss with a capital D. Yeah, that is a single action. Okay, so yeah, you're right. That was her 3 actions then, and she's no longer frightened. And then it is Birka's turn. You come to your senses again after this brief visit of another entity.
I kind of shake off the last of the electroplasm. Like, do not do that ever again. And feel not compelled to attack her. So can I do like a religion or occultism check to see if there's anything I can devise from her that might help Ottardo or Souma?
Yeah, sure. Try a religion or occultism check. So maybe just this. So I mean, you do identify it as a ghost, but you don't know much about what that means mechanically. You basically just from the stories that people talk about ghosts. You know, they're the remnants of damned souls and stuff like that. But you do know one thing about ghosts, which is that they're usually insane. So reasoning, bargaining, trying to explain something to a ghost is probably a futile endeavor, even if you are working on whatever would ultimately put them to rest. They might actually fight you because they're just, you know, they're not in their right mind. Their cursed existence will basically be self-destructive in that sense.
Okay, the ghosts are crazy. Gotcha. Any way we can protect ourselves from being possessed, or just try to be will powerful?
Not with that roll. There's not much you can think of. Just, you know, have a strong will. Not an expert in that.
Still don't want to attack, so I'm gonna try to look supportive and unthreatening. Actually, no. On the contrary, I want to try and distract her so that Ottardo can, do whatever he needs to do. So I'm gonna shout things at her. Intimidation.
You can try to intimidate her. Yeah, sure. But you fail to really catch her attention. She seems way too mad at Ottardo for messing with her workshop or tools.
All right, then that'll be it, I think.
I think you have a third action because you did a recall knowledge, you did intimidation, so you should have one more action.
Can I? I don't have anything in my inventory. Ooh. Can I take one of my dolls and throw it at her? It absorbs her.
Oh, I see. A Ghostbusters trap kind of thing. Yep, sure, you could try that. You toss it into the room, but it just kind of it lands on the floor. It slides right through her. Doesn't seem to have any particular effect.
All right, I'll be sure to pick it up afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lucca.
Yeah, Lucca's just standing there, shaking his head, his mask tilting side to side as he observes this nonsense. But he does see Birke pull out the doll and try to toss it in the room, and that gets his head going. We found these notes on absorbing souls and binding them into these crystals to power the dolls. Can he make some sort of check to see if there's some sort of way to bind this ghost?
See, that's what I was trying to do.
He does have spirits lore.
Spirits lore? Yeah, give me a spirits lore.
He says he's thinking to himself actually, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, given the right tools, that might be a good idea. But you do understand, especially being trained in spirits lore, you do understand the difference between a soul and a spirit or a ghost. And while you've learned about something about trapping souls, that's a very different thing than trying to trap a spirit or a ghost. And you don't thinking about what is at your disposal here, you can't come up with anything that might work here. There's probably stuff out there somewhere that you could buy or create, but nothing you have right now. What you do know though is that ghosts usually have some unfinished business, and you are quite certain that this is a ghost, first of all.
Yeah.
And you know that they are usually kept on this plane of existence because of some unfinished business. Unfortunately, they are usually not cooperative in finishing that business, even if you try to do it for them. So often, the only way to deal with a ghost is to beat it into into a state where it's sort of dissolves and has to rejuvenate to come back, which then buys you some time to do whatever you need to do to truly put it to rest.
Yeah, he'll kind of call some of this out to them and be like, you have to beat it into submission and then finish its business. Finish its business. And there's he already used one action to recall knowledge. There's not really much he can do from over here. So he's just gonna hang out, letting the healing continue to restore him.
All right, I'll roll that for you. There you go. 15 points of
And
healing.
that will finish his healing process. Okay.
And then we have Ottardo.
Ottardo heard what Lucca said. So he's going to move back out. That's one action. With one action, he's going to grab his hammer from the floor. And last action, he is going to lay hands on himself.
Okay. And then it's Soma's turn.
I was going to use Ottardo, but as he will already laid his stuff, wait. So with first level spell, so that would be 2. Two actions and or I think I will try to wound this ghost mentally. Soma will who even cares about the books? There are tons of the books running here just right now. One more.
Ooh.
The target is distracted, takes a -3 status perception will saves for a minute. Target can end the effect early with a retort to your bon mot. Can be a single action that has the concentrate turret or an appropriate skill action to frame the retort. And generate skills action, though they must take at least one action. Typically, the retort needs to use a linguistic charisma-based skill action. And is that it? -3 to perception and will saves for. Oops, sorry, I accidentally gave you that. There you go. Yeah, I don't see any immunity that would make her immune to this. So yeah, you find some very choice words. And yeah, seem to really get her distracted. That's
my reactions.
All right, so then it's her turn, and so she has been bon mode by you, but at the same time, she's a pretty insane ghost that is single-mindedly trying to pursue something. And now everybody's out of the room. So what she's going to do is she's going to kind of float forwards as if taking a step towards her workbench, and she's just going to sit down as if you had never been here, as if none of this has happened. She just kind of sits down very calmly, and once again reaches for her tools, but reaches right through them, reaches for the materials and right through them, and just starts pantomiming, working on the books again. Birke.
So, well, she seems occupied, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna disturb that and just try not to mess things up anymore. I
Alright.
think I'll just pass my turn, yeah.
Okay, Lucca.
Lucca is gonna come forward, and he's going to say, "Look, these ghosts are incredibly rude. Perhaps we'd be best off just leaving this one be." He strides and he reaches forward towards the door that he's like destroyed partially, and he's just gonna grab it and try to pull it shut and hope it stays.
Yeah, I'll say you get to like close it. It's still gonna pop open slightly, but it's shut enough that you don't have to see the ghost anymore.
Yeah. I imagine the door like swings through the ghost's body as it's closing.
Right.
It's just, and he just like carefully tries to release it. One other question. With I don't know what he rolled on the spirits, but does he know whether a ghost is considered mindless or not?
You rolled pretty well on that, so I think you would know that. It is not mindless. It has the ghost, incorporeal, spirit, and undead traits, but not the mindless trait.
In that case, as he closes the door, he says, "I'm telling you, there's really no reasoning with them. They're just incredibly rude and not very considerate of others. We would do best just to move on."
Yes,
mean,
the undead can have poor manners, can they not? I say teasingly.
I said the most hurtful thing I could imagine to her, and she just ignored it. It's completely unreasonable.
All right. So what I'm hearing is you all kind of agree that maybe this spirit should just be left alone for now. So
No. Yes.
I'm ending the encounter.
We can come back and chastise her more later if you really want.
So yeah, you leave her be, and she seems to be happily ignoring you as long as she gets to do the work. Okay, brief moment as I check my temperatures again.
Well, if that situation is done with, perhaps we ought finally to explore the passageway down which the magical floating words disappeared.
Do we know? Oh,
They went up this way,
oh,
to
up
the
north.
north.
Okay. We probably need 20 minutes to recuperate a bit.
You really need to get yourselves some sort of positive energy well.
All right. Where to next?
I think we're going to lock ourselves somewhere and take 20 minutes rest.
Well, where do you want to go?
Is there like a good restaurant around here?
There's some really choice bits of decaying flesh down there near the sickly
Aged
energy.
meats.
Well,
Maybe the repair room up here. It's somewhat less squalid than the other chambers.
Sure. And Ottardo will first need to take 10 minutes to regain a focus point.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll use it to lay hands on himself. Then he'll take 10 minutes again to regain that point.
Okay. Alright, so you spend another 20 minutes in that chamber. Doesn't seem to be a lot of traffic in these halls. Lucky
Probably.
for you.
We killed most of it.
That's also true.
Are there any other doors you wish me to burn down while you're, lounging about in there? No? Alright. Well, I'll just be here. Maybe I'll go hang out in the shower.
Okay, so you hang out in the shower, and as the time passes, give me a perception check. Lucca. Only Lucca.
Oh, right, perception. There it is.
Okay. Give me a second here.
Oh, that really is lovely.
So as you stand there, like really enjoying this energizing ribbon of negative energy, you spot some movement down the hallway, and you see a creature, like kind of ghoulish looking, but carrying itself almost like more like a Morlock. A little hunched over, almost like dragging its knuckles. And you see that it's carrying a couple of books, and it has bits of flesh with it, almost like a snack bag. And it kind of like lumbers down the hallway, muttering to itself, like something along the line. Let me check your languages. Right. Yeah. So you still don't understand that language, but it's mumbling something to itself in like a sing-song voice, kind of like happily, like. And at some point, it spots you, and you see its eyes, its milky white eyes glint in the darkness. It freezes for a second, and since you spotted it too, you have a moment if you want to, because it's about to just turn around and bolt.
So is it a ghoul, or it looks like...
It looks ghoulish, but it does look different than the other ghouls. It's for one thing, it's not wearing any of the hooded cloaks. It's not wearing any of those like pendants or necklaces, and it's again, it's more Morlocky in status, but it's also clearly ghoulish.
How far is it exactly?
I'll put it on the map here, and I'll
Oh,
show you
oh,
what it.
oh, that's awful. Oh dear. Oh, I don't like that. Well, it's humming to itself, and it seems to have a little bit of an animus, let's call it. So I don't think he thinks it's it's not mindless, probably. Which means he can't use his undead sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
But if it looks like it's about to bolt, he'll maybe say, wait, no need to fear," and he'll yank his mask off and reveal his skeletal face, and maybe try to cast a spell on this guy.
Oh, okay. No need to fear. Let me just cast a spell on you.
No, it's a friendly spell. See, friendly. He goes to cast Charm on him.
Okay, let's see. I mean, if that save fails, I would think that's not a. Oh, there you go.
Yes, for once.
It is just a regular failure because it's an incapacitation spell. So failure. The target either becomes friendly towards you. If it was friendly, it becomes helpful. It can't use hostile actions against you. Okay, so what happens is you're like, oh, hold on there, and cast your spell. And it at first it was ready to bolt, but now that you've cast the spell successfully, it kind of like straightens up a little bit, but still doesn't become like um, fully like human-like in its posture. And it like carefully moves forward and moves into the light of the energy well a little bit, and the blue light shines on it on its horrific ghoulish face. Its tongue is lolling out, and it curiously looks at you. And you've addressed it in what language?
Necrol, let's say.
Necrol. Okay, so it responds in Necrol, and it says, "You are new here. Are you with the cult? You don't look like the cult."
Lucca is like he looks at him and he's like, "Oh, yes, no, of course, not with the cult, at least not yet. Recent transfer, from lower division." Is kind of like, actually no, he would say, from upper division, level up. Don't get down here. Haven't had the opportunity. Haven't made many acquaintances yet, but I was just, well, it's so lovely in here. I just couldn't help but linger.
It
Uh,
is. It,
uh,
it,
what is your name, friend?
oh, my name? He says as he walks in. I mean, he's friendly towards you, so he has no reason to be shy or anything. And he just walks in, walks past you, and uh, lies down on one of those divans, puts his snacks on the table, and like takes out the books, puts them next to him, picks up one of them and holds it on his lap as he looks at you and says, "My name's Augrail, and I remember
Ogrill.
Augrail, but I did not come from above. I came from below. I remember me and my friends. We all came here. Then then the cult happened to us. None of my friends survived," he says with a like completely not really acknowledging how horrific that is, just kind of like almost with a smile on his face says, "They've all been torn to pieces by the cult. But I survived," he says, even though he clearly didn't.
Right, Ogrill. Well, that's I get that. Shit happens, as they say. Well, life happens. But uh, yes. How long have you been with the cult, Ogrill? If you don't mind my asking.
"I'm just here for the books," he says, and he
The books.
points to one of the tomes. "Yeah, there's some great tomes out here. And there's really good snacks," he says, and he picks out one particularly foul-smelling chunk of half-rotten flesh and like, really good.
Yes. Well, if you don't mind my asking, what is your favorite book in the collection?
Oh, I don't. That's hard to say. That's really, really difficult. There's so many good ones around here. And he like goes on for a little bit, talks about a few titles.
Mm-hmm.
None of them, like, there's no particular pattern to it. He seems to be really just a voracious reader of whatever he could get his hands on. You're not quite
Mm-hmm.
sure if he truly understood the material, but apparently he just really enjoys looking at the books.
Oh, and what were you sent by the cult to go to collect some books? Is that what I understand?
No. The cult does its thing, and I stick to the shadows and try to stay out of their way, and I don't get involved in their fights, which I think is a good thing. given how many of them were just slaughtered down this hallway. That was a good meal.
Yes. Oh, yes. Were you the one responsible for dragging remains about? I saw many large streaks of blood. I was hoping to meet some new workmates of mine, but have found very little left of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want any of it? You can have it. And he holds out a couple of pieces. If you want some, I have a lot more back in my reading room.
Oh, well, never turned down a gift. And he'll. Well, I can't move because I'm paused, but
That's right.
he'll,
Sorry.
he'll come forward and he'll.
Yeah.
He says, I've always been a bit more partial to calcium myself. He'll flip open his bag and he'll like offer I don't know, a tibia. No, tibia's too big. He'll offer a radius.
And you exchange body parts. and he hands you like a sizable chunk of flesh, and there's still a good amount of skin on it, and you see that it's like the bluish, half rotten, but still somewhat leathery skin of a ghoul on it. So it's definitely a chunk of ghoul. And he takes the radius from you, and he's like bites down on it, and he bites right through the bone, like crushes it between his jaws, like sucks out the marrow a little bit.
Lucca, if Lucca had a face with actual features, he would wince.
Yeah.
But since he doesn't, he's just straight faced watching this.
Yeah, so he just sucks out the marrow. He's like, "That's quite tasty." And then he looks at you, and you see like as if he's almost like considering something, and it makes him slightly uncomfortable. And there's a little bit of a lull in the conversation as he like eyes you.
Right. Well, you see, that was a wolf bone. They are quite delicious. Unfortunately, human bones are very, very gross. Not nearly as fine as a fine wolf bone.
And he mouths the word, "Oh, what? Wolf bone?"
Oh yes, they come from the surface world, up above.
The surface sounds tasty.
Oh yes, many delectable things up there, but not many books. If you're a big book fan, then you'd be better off around these parts.
Yeah. So, friend, do you want to read with me? That way you're here?
I would love to know where your reading room is. Perhaps I should really catch up with the rest of the cult. But perhaps I'll stop in later. Are you frequently found around there, or do you prefer to roam?
Oh yeah, I'll show you. I show you where my room is. It's my room. It's only my room, and I try not to try not to get into any fights with the cult, so I don't often leave it. Just when I get hungry, sometimes I just need a snack.
You know what? I can tell that you are a voracious sort, and you are also a voracious in terms of snacking and reading. What if we load you up with some books and as much snacks as you can carry, and then you can linger in your room for quite a while? After all, the cult fighting seems to be getting rather nasty around here, and you wouldn't want to get caught in the middle of it.
That sounds, and you can tell that he is surprised to like find so much kindness. He said, "That sounds wonderful. Yes." I'll show
be
you.
sympathetic to the ghoul, but not the ghost. Yeah, cool.
So
Yes. It's the corporeal dead are always much more reasonable.
So he gets slightly animated, and he jumps off the divan and like grabs the books that he has. He said, "Hey, let me show you where it is. Let me show you."
And Lucca, as Lucca is like hustling along to keep up with him, he's very loudly like talking hoping that his friends will hear, and he's like, "Yes, you and I shall go to your reading room. It is only the two of us down here after all. We will have many, many hours of fine reading without interruption."
Yeah, and as you turn this corner here, I mean, you're not too far from the room where your friends hold up in, so I think that it's fair to say that they automatically hear you as you continue to loudly proclaim these things. And yeah, the ghoul like quickly, almost on all fours, like hustles down the corridor, and then it's right here, right around the corner, and just down here, down here.
Yes.
Never mind,
Oh,
never mind these strange rooms here. I
yeah,
never
no,
break in
no.
them. Very, very weird. And then the doors open down here, and then he runs into that one, and he like runs all the way to the center of the room, and he like makes a gesture, like sweeping gesture, and he says, "Home, sweet home." And you find yourself in a large cross-shaped chamber that contains several long couches. Um, the leather cushions on those couches were probably once quite ornate, but now cracked with age. Dead plants lie slumped in planter boxes along the walls, and there's a long dry fountain that looks like a lighthouse standing in the middle of the room. But he's not actually in the fountain, he's right next to it. And he's quite proud of this room, even though, of course, he didn't build it. And you see stacks of books next to the couches, and he says, "This is where I love to spend my time."
Oh,
So,
yes, I can see why.
you like my room?
Very much so. Is that does the lighthouse fountain look like the Gauntlight?
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Lucca's just kind of taking in the details around here. Can you do like a perception check or something?
Sure. I'm gonna prompt you for one. Or reason.
Oh. Hang on. I assume it should be secret.
Yeah. All right. Well, you take in the room, and you see a door to the east here. It's pretty dusty. It looks like it hasn't been used in a while. And you see a couple of snacks of augrel still littered around the room. And then in one of the planters, you notice a pile of just eviscerated ghoul remains that just been like ripped open and kind of are just on display in one of those planters, and it's smelling quite or badly. If you can smell, right? So you do
I think
that.
I technically can.
Yes.
But
So it might not sicken you as much because it's the smell of decay, but yeah, it's still quite pungent.
yes. I always have somewhat of the scent of charred flesh and bone in my nostrils, so it's not so terrible. But yes, well, Ogriel, this is a wonderful, wonderful setup you've got here. Like I said, Lucca was trying to like make stuff here need a while, so he's probably got some handfuls of gore from the gore room. Like I'm just going to leave these here and you just hang out. I'd love to come by at a later time, but duty calls as it is.
Please do, says Umbrell, and he's like, "This is so nice. It's so nice to finally have a friend around here."
Yes, good fellow. Two quick questions before I depart. As a friend, of course. I'm curious. Do you remember anything else about, your friends, or what brought you to this place before you were killed? Where you came from? Anything of the time before?
I only recall. And his eyes kind of wander and he looks off into the mid distance. We came from below, way below. And then the cult, they took most of my friends.
Yes.
I think some of them went on to the upper levels of this place, but somehow I managed to survive just fine down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he snaps out of it. He says, "Been having a great time ever since."
Yes, yes. Sounds like it. Other question. As the cult is responsible for the death of your friends, and you've been very busy avoiding them and such, do you have any idea of what precisely the cult is doing or attempting? It would be good for me to, as I'm applying for my position there, to have some foreknowledge, of course.
I don't know, but they're building something.
Build it.
I've overheard them talk about saving the choicest bits of flesh of their victims for something that they're building somewhere up in the. And then he describes the direction, which would be the northeast of this map. Somewhere up there, it's their most holy temple or sanctum or whatever they call it. But I try to stay as far away as possible from that, even if it smells delicious sometimes.
Yes. Well, we must all pay special heed to our temptations, mustn't we? Well, I really ought to be going. But perhaps I will run into you later. I'll be sure to pay a visit, one way or the other. You you like having friends? Perhaps I might be able to introduce you to other friends. Although, if you are able to resist your temptation to visit that temple, so perhaps you'll be able to resist other temptations. Never mind. I really must be going. Pleasure to meet you, Augriel.
Coming soon, he says as you take your leave. And he grabs a book, and maybe if you look over your shoulder, you see him hop on one of the couches, crack open the book, and start reading.
Yeah,
All
Lucca
right.
will
I like him.
hustle back.
All right.
Oh, there's that crazy room.
I'll give you 30 XP, all of you, since we're doing group XP. So feel free to add 30 XP to your sheets. The charm spell only lasts an hour. And does it mean if you use hostile actions when the spell ends, the target doesn't necessarily realize it was charmed? Clash with its expectation, meaning it could potentially convince the target to continue being a friend via mundane means. Okay, got it. All right. Yeah. But I do think that you know your spells well enough to know that he was being friendly with you, which means that he couldn't have been hostile to start out with, right? You know how magic works in that sense. But you do know that if you come back in a while, he probably won't be as friendly as he's been so far. Okay. I think that's as good as any time to put a pin into it for today.
Okay.
Nice job.
All right.
And we made a friend.
You made a friend. You made a ghoulish friend. What more could you possibly ask for?
I told you. It's this incorporeal ones who have no manners.
Yeah. Do we have any means of dealing with a ghost? Does anyone have any ghost touch stuff? No.
We do not.
I do have chill touch, but the most I can hope for with that is to make it flee, not to actually hurt it.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
harm her feelings, but
I think we can talk our way out of this one. We just have to figure out how. I mean,
Well,
not talk, like not ration our way out of it, but like fix whatever is holding her in place.
I mean,
Yeah,
Lucca could do the
sure.
same thing. Theoretically, he could also charm the ghost. He just has no desire to interact with the ghost. He thinks it's going to be nothing but
And
a
that's
jerk.
fair enough.
I mean, if push comes to shove, I can cast magic weapon on Birke or Ottardo and just disperse her into for a while, and then do all the business that she needs. And when she reforms, then it will be fixed, and she will finally find.
I mean, Birko already has a magic weapon, and just in terms of the mechanics, because you did have some high rolls here, so I'll tell you that. The way this works is that the ghosts are resistant to all damage 5, except force, ghost touch, or positive. And the resistance is doubled versus non-magical. So if you have a magic weapon, it would do some damage, but it has a resistance 5 against that
Well,
damage.
magic weapon as a spell, it makes the weapon striking, so it doubles the dice as well.
Nice. And if you have any force effects, any positive
Well,
energy
we
effects,
have wands. We have wands of magic missile, and we have wand of cure wounds. So we can like, if we really need to, we can poke the ghost to death.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
again, I mean, I already mentioned that in character or through your knowledge checks, but the way the ghosts work, you won't be really able to be like, hey, we'll set you free by just doing this thing for you, because they're crazy, they're ghosts.
Yeah.
You might be able to distract her and like lure her away from the workshop and then finish her business or something like that, but you won't really be able to reason with her or promise anything. And you would know that given the spirit lore and religion checks.
Well, I kind of tried that with the bon mot, but well, she's crazy.
Yeah, the bon mot, I'm not even sure if that should work on her. I mean, it did say that.
I mean, well, technically she can understand me, so.
Right, but it also has the emotion trait and mental, and there's a lot of traits here, so I'm kind of hesitant if that truly works just like any other. So what do we have? Undead. What are the undead traits?
Well, in first edition she would be immune, but in here I don't know. I mean that the tyrant's grasp must have really screwed up the world if undead stopped working like they used to. I mean, in universe that happened like years ago or something.
Yeah, but there's nothing here. It's just death effects, disease, paralyzed, poison, precision, unconscious. So there's no reason why something like Mo shouldn't work. I guess they're not
I am.
crazy enough to be immune to that, so they're still affected by it in some way.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot I can do to actually hurt the ghost, but it's also pretty difficult for the ghost to hurt me because it deals negative energy. So, if it hits me with that breath attack, then that's a problem. But I
I
don't
think
know
like
how
if we can
often I can do
avoid fighting, we're gonna be better off. There's gotta be a solution to the puzzle.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
A way to dispel it somehow.
Well, probably by fixing the book that it's working on, but it's hard to do that when the thing is, trying to kill us all. So I'm
I
saying
mean, one of the
Luca could try to charm it and make it friendly, and then we could try to fix the book.
yeah,
But
one way of it would be just to
Good luck
let
trying
it
to get Lucca to be
possess you,
friendly.
and yeah, I mean we could try to just let it possess us and just let the ghost walk away, and once she is far away enough, then
It's not great to be possessed. I'm not volunteering for this one.
And also, like fixing the book is going to take some time. So what would Sam, you might know this. How long does it take to repair an item?
In my case, it's 1 minute because I have
Alright.
a feat that gives me that lets me repair it in 1 minute.
Okay, so that would be 10 rounds. So if you can distract her for 10 rounds, you might have a chance.
Worth a try. Soma, how do you feel about being possessed?
Well, that certainly would be a new experience, so might give it a spin once.
Because I've already been possessed once. I don't think Lucca can be possessed, and we need Ottardo to do the repairing, so.
I mean, I can definitely be possessed
Yeah, I don't
unless
see how
possession
we
is a
can
death.
convince you of that.
I don't unless possession is a death effect, which I don't think it is.
No.
That I'm not immune to that.
You just have to be corporeal. That's the only requirement.
All those bones of yours.
Um,
I mean, do you want to try before we call it a day? Is it enough of a plan here that you want to give this a shot?
I'm okay with it.
Let's give it a shot.
So how will the distraction proceed? It's just like let her follow you around?
I mean, so if we did deduce the actions, the flow of events from what we experienced, then it should be enough for us, for Soma to walk in and sit behind her desk, and that's a thing that was triggering her previously.
Yeah.
So
I think it was touching the tools.
yeah, so I could try to do that, and then we just see what she does. Maybe if we leave her alone, then just Toma will repair by herself. If the ghost is given ability to affect the living world like that.
Oh,
Wait, why do you think that she wouldn't? You would be able to, why do you think you would be able to repair the book?
I think the idea is that right now she tries, but she's incorporeal, so she can't touch the tools. But if she possesses someone,
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh yeah, maybe.
that's clever. But would she, at that point, would she be in combat mode, or would she go back to trying to
Well, we
fix
won't know
herself?
until we try, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. All right, I'll take us back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we'll
stopped
try.
the recording, but we'll have to just recount it later.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that Luca is gonna first want to tell you about a new friend of his.
Yeah, he'll explain the details of what he overheard. The cult is building something to the northeast. This guy named Augriel is hanging out. He seems like he's not a human ghoul. He's a maybe a Morlock ghoul or something. Came from below, he said. And yeah, just that he seems, well, Lucca put the moves on him, but it kind of seems like if we leave him alone, he'll leave us alone, at least until such time as we decide we need to investigate that room of his. It did have a little statue of the Gauntlight in it, which makes me wonder if there's some greater significance to that room, but yes, a rather unfortunate tale altogether. Poor thing.
Yeah.
Unlike that asshole ghost.
Yeah. Before we go, and Mr. Ottardo was going to lay hands, right?
He healed himself, and if you need more healing, he can provide that.
Yes, please.
and
yeah, those I think wasn't good for me.
he will do so. I guess we take an extra 10 minutes for him to refocus before we proceed.
All right.
And then we are at the door.
Okay.
Birke?
Alan, you want to move into more advantageous position?
Sorry, but that got distracted for a second.
So when you open the door, the workshop looks deserted, just as before. There's just the skeletal remains on the floor. No ghost in sight.
Okay. So someone right now looks at Ottardo, looks at Birke, like nods and says, "Well, okay, as we planned then, and hopefully, can you give me some light, please?" Oh, yeah, that's good. And with a deep breath, she
Wait, stick on it.
she inspires courage into herself. Steps in.
All right. And as you step in, the ghostly apparition manifests and looks at you and admonishes you and says, "Listen, you didn't want to be disturbed."
Well, as we decided, then Soma ignores her warning and sits behind the desk. At the desk.
And she once again yells at you like, "I said leave." And another cone of toxic mist emanates from her mouth. I will need fortitude saves from Soma and Birke, and Lucca's far enough away. Okay, you both fail.
Yeah, you know what? I think I will try to use my hero point for this one.
Good timing for sure. Still okay. All right. So you both take 24 points of damage from the poison. Quite potent. And then it's your turn. I mean, I'm not moving into initiative just yet. But maybe we should. Maybe we should. So then get into an encounter, and then I will just roll for everyone. And here we are. So, Lucca, you're actually the first one to act if you want to.
Yeah, he just shakes his head as he's like, "Oh, here they go again. Of course, it's gonna kill everyone." He is going to, I guess he's gonna help. So he's gonna pull out his If I mean we're going up against a ghost, would it be reasonable to assume he's already got the positive energy wand out?
Sure.
The wand of heal.
Yep.
I guess he'll do the. I mean, the 3-action version will hurt it, as well as help the 2 injured, or he could just try to pour healing into one person. If you guys you're trying to basically get it to cooperate in a roundabout way. I guess.
I think we want it to be focusing on Soma only.
Right. Okay. In that case, he's just gonna use the 2-action version to hit Souma with some healing.
All right.
Before whatever happens. So inventory, wand of heal, cast heal. No, cast it, please. There we go. 2-action healing. He hits Souma with 13 points of healing.
That's a good amount. Oops.
And then as his 3rd action, he will put the wand away since it is now useless.
Okay, Birke.
How can I help distract without ruining everything? I don't really have any spells, and I don't really want to stab it. Also, I'm badly injured. Can I create a diversion?
No, how so? What do you?
I don't
you
know,
wanna-
like something to distract the ghost, or
Well, we don't want the ghost distracted.
okay, yeah, but we wanted to attack Soma, right?
To
Or
possess
possess.
Soma
Mhm.
and see what happens next.
Yeah. How can I do that?
I mean, you could just delay and wait and see what
Yeah.
happens.
I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. So you do a delay. Yes. So you're basically removed from initiative until you ask me to return. Soma.
Okay. I think it would be prudent to continue getting myself healthy, so I will actually soothe myself. And for 2 actions, and then wait, no. Oh. I misclicked. Please open the door. But
Very brave of you, Souma.
yeah, so someone basically tries to imagine that poison is all in her head and heal herself almost back to full.
Nice.
Yeah, I have 1 action left, and I will try to continue to work on the books. I mean, I try to not to damage anything, but like.
Yep. You basically pick up the tools and you
Yes.
start to get to work, which the ghost responds to by just no, yelling out, infuriated, and once again like turns into a less defined shape
Okay.
as he tries to possess you. You can give me a will save, and you can choose to use a degree of success more favorable.
Yeah, actually, yes, I would try to what you call voluntarily fail because we want to.
Oh wait, hold on a second. Actually, I mean, you could willingly fail your save if you wanted to.
I think they clarified nowadays that you or
What's that?
I don't remember. Did they clarified for 5th edition that you can willingly fail your saves, or for Pathfinder too? Well,
You can willingly fail your save if you want to.
yeah. Well, someone will try to like embrace the possession and see what happens.
All right.
Like,
So
that's what we're trying to do after all.
all right. So she successfully controls you. In that case. So she moves into your body, and on your turn, she will be in charge. So she doesn't take the rest of her turn now. She's possessing you. Ottardo?
Ottardo sees that Birke is quite hurt, so he is going to move behind her and lay hands.
Okay. Nice.
And he won't do anything for his last action.
Lucca.
Yeah, I mean he's just everything's going according to plan so far, so he's going to delay.
Okay. Birker?
Alejandro, that's 12 healing for Birke.
Maybe Ale isn't here right now, but I would assume that Birker wants to delay anyway. Soma. So at the start of your turn, you get another will save, but you're free to just fail if you want to. But if you fail, then she's in charge. So
Yes, well, we wanted to see what happens, so someone will basically allow her the ghost to do what it would do. And
okay.
And depending on what it does, well, then we'll try to resist later.
Okay, so she spends the action to move you out of the room, and I think you've seen that before. That's what
Yeah.
she did. Well,
Yeah.
so she walks Soma out of the room. You kind of stagger out of the room. Not very far. She just kind of wastes the remaining actions, and then it's Ottardo's turn.
So she walks out. She's just ignored us, and
Can I actually, since I delayed, can I jump in after I see that?
Yes.
She's not trying to fix the book. She's steering Souma dangerously close to that negative energy well.
Mhm.
Suma's gonna, Lucca's gonna spend 3 actions casting this, just in case it becomes necessary. He's casting it at the 2nd level.
Ooh. All right. Can you? What is it that you summon in that case? 2nd level.
Yeah, it takes. He is, as long as he is able to, and this is a little bit at your discretion, because of the alignment of his deity. It is only 1 step away from his alignment, so theoretically it should be okay. But you can veto it if you don't think it's appropriate. Where the heck did it go? He is summoning a no soy, which is
But
a
doesn't-
psycho pump.
You summon a celestial monitor or fiend whose level is -1 to fight on your behalf.
I'm doing it at 2nd level, so I can summon a 1st level servitor. It's the heightened version.
Okay. The animal of your choice and has a following trait depending on that. You can summon a creature if it is opposed to your deity's alignment on either axis, or opposed to your alignment if you don't follow it. You can summon a chaotic or evil creature. Well, yeah, but if it's 1 step away, that should be fine. Yeah. Okay, so a Nozoi. Interesting. Where do you want it to manifest?
He's gonna, I guess, stick it right behind Souma for now. It's all 3 actions just to summon it, so he can't even control it yet. But he's, he's like, if anything, he doesn't want her to go this way. So he's hoping that if the ghost sees a manifestation of the will of Pharasma and the Boneyard, that it might not be inclined to continue in that direction.
Okay. All right. That was all 3 of your actions. So next up is Ottardo.
Well, this is complicated. So it seems that she doesn't want to fix her own books, and
I mean, I think she's made it pretty clear what she wants.
she wants
She
us
wants
to
to be
leave.
left alone.
Yes.
I don't know if Birke can manage to immobilize Soma for a whole minute while Ottardo works on that book. That's
If we immobilize Soma, then nothing actually stops the ghost from, well, just leaving her. So we just have to kind of ensure that she doesn't walk into this negative energy well, which probably Lucca should take care of. And,
Lucca's got a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
All right, but given that the first plan has fallen apart, I think we need to put a pin in it because I do have to be done
Yeah,
on time.
that's fine.
Okay, so we'll just leave